Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We are back once again, and we're going to be discussing the disaster that is the Puerto Rico. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. As you can probably see, I have the Alaska right here. And it's kind of ironic because the Puerto Rico is basically a bit of a worse version of the Alaska, even though it is only a tier 9 ship, and the Puerto Rico is presumed to be a tier 10. That being said, what we're going to do today is no gameplay. We're just going to be going through a whole lot of shit about how to grind the Puerto Rico, how it's not even possible really, unless you're like Super Unicom, have rare flags, and beat one of the best players in the game for the continuous period, and play all throughout Christmas. That's what we're going to be going over. We have a little bit of math too to take into consideration, so I'll be going over that also. So, first things first, if we look at the dockyard, now that being said, like, the actual concept of the Puerto Rico and how it's grinded is actually pretty enjoyable, and it's sad too, because I can see this being a really fun concept if it was just tweaked so that it wasn't so grindy and so money grabby. But that being said, obviously, you have the Puerto Rico. It builds when you get boosters. It takes over time. As you can see, you get one free booster at the start, and then you can buy additional boosters for dubons, or you can grind them for free. And this is where the issue comes in. If you don't buy these boosters for dubons, I keep saying that weird, dubons, you have to grind all of these. I've done the math. You have to grind at least in a hypothetical world where you could actually, if you could get all these all these boosters, well, the first 7 boosters, as soon as it starts building, or as soon as 2 days are up, then theoretically you could get it. You get enough points to actually complete it within the time frame. But that being said, the way the tokens are given out and the directives and shit, you cannot actually do this. It's actually impossible. Then when you bundle on top of that the fact that the directives are questionable, to say the least, it's just a recipe to disaster. And I know Wargaming have released an apology and stuff like that, and I'm going to give my impression of my opinion on all of this towards the end, but I just want to go through how incredibly difficult this is to actually complete. It's okay. Each of these, let's say you wanted, I'm a free-to-play player. I very rarely spend. I actually have not spent a penny on this game since I started playing it a couple of years ago. That being said, for someone like me, you have to basically grind for what? I did the math here. It's about 2,500. Hang on, wait. No, 2,400 shipbuilding tokens to actually get all of these boosters right here. And if you get them all, I think even if you get them all, you still might not be able to grind it. But that being said, you're not going to get them all. There's not a chance of you getting them all. That being said, if you get 7 boosters, again, from the very first day, the tick rate is just enough where you'll have 1 million extra credits in order to get the ship, or 1 million extra points to spare by the time the event runs out. But that being said, this is a little bit depressing. Let's look at the directives and how the main way of actually getting shipbuilding tokens. So obviously, for completing a directive, you get a certain amount of shipbuilding tokens, and they go up. For the first one you get 200, then 250, 300, 300, 300, 300, and 300. Now we're going to look at this a bit realistically, because let's be honest, we're not going to get all these directives done. I mean, you're not going to be playing all the time. It is Christmas after all. It is New Year's after all. So you're not going to have... There's going to be days where you're just not able to play the game. Now, that being said, it could be made easier. The first directive isn't really the issue. I mean, 165,000 damage to ships by setting fire, that's not that difficult. 100 set on fire, that's a general directive that's done fairly often. 40 defended, again, not that unreasonable. 65 ships, none of these are unreasonable. Now, when it starts to get unreasonable is when, look, must be completed in a random co-op or ranked battle. Carriers or destroyers of tier 5. Carriers or destroyers of tier 5 or higher. That's the first bit of sneakiness that I don't like. Battleships or cruisers. Again, they're splitting these up so you can't actually farm both of them at the same time. So it's actually a little bit really deceptive. And again, how are you going to get that much fire damage on a destroyer? Well, you obviously can if you pick the correct destroyer, you know, gunboats and shit. But again, very unlikely. And if you take into consideration that a lot of the player base probably aren't that great at the game, myself included, it just, I don't know, it just feels really shitty. Again, rest of these are kind of achievable. You have your traditional battleship, cruiser, destroyer kind of memes. And with the typical rewards, again, I think actually if they gave a few tokens in these actual directives, or in these mini directives, I think it would be a bit more reasonable. But again, I'm not the one in charge, so what do I know? Again, 250 tokens, where the first one was 200. Now keep in mind, the first couple of boosts are actually 200 tokens. Then they actually go up to 300 after the first two, and then they stay at 350 after the first four. So, okay, you can pay for the first one, fine. That's the first boost. This will get you the second boost. This will get you the third boost with 50 to spare. This will get you the fourth boost. This will get you the fifth boost. This will not get you the sixth boost. This will get you the sixth boost. With a little bit to spare. 50 dubons or something. Not dubons, holy shit. Shipbuilding coupons. Now, if we look at these, destroy 90 ships. Oh, God, come on, man. You just destroyed 65 and you want me to go out and kill 90? That's 155 ships within the space of like 3 days or 4 days. Again, which is kind of doable. This is where it starts getting a bit ridiculous. 85,000 base XP. I mean, even if you make 1,500, 2,000 base XP, that's like 40 games. 42 games. If you make 2,000 base XP a game, that's Unicum level of play. Festive decorations, you can do just take out the Minotaur, and then this is ridiculous. 135,000 base XP. That's actually going from like tier 8 to tier 9 Japanese BBs. That's like going from the Amagi to the Azumo, which is ridiculous. Again, you can do a couple of these if you get the Griza, which I don't know. Doing daily missions, you might be able to get that, but again, a little bit unlikely. But again, this is just incentivizing you to buy the ship, because with the time cap on this, you're really rushed to actually get everything done in time. Going over these, it just gets more ridiculous as time goes on. And again, the big thing that stops this is that a lot of these many directives have conditions attached that you wouldn't actually realize unless you actually clicked into them, where certain things have to be completed with certain ships or certain types of ships. Otherwise, you don't actually complete. Like directives in the past, you could actually do 2 at the one time with a certain type of ship, like cruisers or something. But obviously, as we see here, you have to have destroyers, and then here you have to have battleships or cruisers. So you can't complete these 2 at the same time, which is so sneaky. Grinding 20. This is, I think, this 5, 6, and 7 is where it starts getting absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. 20 million credits. 20 million credits. That's going from tier 9 to tier 10. Straight up. 150,000 base XP. For a number 5 directive. That's almost halfway to a Nelson. It's insanity. That is a Nelson! That's a Nelson! This is actually my first time looking in depth at these directives, and oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah, 150,000 base XP. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There's so many ways they could make this more accessible. If like they just unlocked all the directives at once and you could work through them all at once. I think that's one of the few ways like every player could actually benefit from this and actually maybe complete it in time. But at this rate, it's utterly ridiculous. Okay, with that in mind, let's say hypothetically you complete them all. You get 200. Okay, you get the first 6 boosters from this, I think, or 7. Again, that's not enough to complete the ships, even if you got them all at one time. That being said, there's other ways to get shipbuilding tokens. And again, you can get the Gorizia from these ships, I think. No, that's the Trento. You can get them, the Gorizia, from daily missions, I think. I'm pretty sure. Or at least you can get shipbuilding tokens from daily missions. But again, four tokens? Like, 2 tokens? Like, this is... Especially when you need so many to actually get a boost. This is like spitting in people's faces. Like, it's actually like spitting in people's faces. And again, you can get daily shipments again for more tokens. But again, it's 5. And it's 20 by 5. Which is 100? Yeah, basically 20 days of 5 tokens, 100 tokens. Which isn't even enough to get 1 boost. So you could probably get the extra boost with daily shipments and logging in every day. Which is ridiculous. Again, you're just not going to get this. Even if you do that, you're not going to get these completed. Especially not if you're a free-to-play player, because you don't have premium. You're not going to get premium, and you're not going to get the credits, you're not going to get the XP, you're not going to get any of that. So this is pretty ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous, actually. And the one thing, Wargaming has come out and apologized. Now, I want to give a little bit more color to this. Now, I think there is a place for this. I really do think there is. And again, this looks sexy as all hell. Like, the dockyard actually looks really goddamn good. And I think if they're introducing lower tier ships in the future, I think they should definitely go this route. If they went this route with like the Prince Idol Frederick, I think it should have a lot more uptake. They just need to adjust it so much that it makes it actually viable. And don't just sneakily tell people you're not actually going to sell tier 10 premiums when you actually are, in a roundabout way. Again, my problem with this isn't the fact that this is actually happening. It's the fact that they said this wasn't going to happen, and then now it's happening. They said they weren't going to sell it, and they are selling it. And I don't know, man. I guess the main problem comes down to the fact the people I feel worse for is the people that haven't done the math. If we look at the dockyard, actually, one final time. It's the people who haven't done the math and have maybe bought 1 booster or maybe 2 boosters, and they don't have the time to actually play all that much over Christmas. So they think by getting these boosters, they actually have a pretty much guaranteed chance of actually getting the ship by playing a little bit, when in fact they actually have, again, almost no chance, unless they're like a super unicorn player who has all, like the Missouri, a shitload of flags, and all that stuff. Those are the people I feel bad for. People who have actually invested money. And again, Wargaming has come out and apologized. And they have edited what they said in the forums, so that people can be a bit more aware of what's actually happening. And I guess that's some kind of good that's come out of it. At least it shows that the community reaction, they actually take it a little bit seriously. which you actually wouldn't get in a lot of other games. But that being said, yeah, I think to properly fix this, they need to refund people, or give the option to refund people who've bought these boosters who can't complete the missions, who don't complete the missions. If you buy these boosters but you don't complete the missions, you should get them refunded in the form of dubbins. I think that's a fair way, and it would remove a lot of criticism. Because I think a lot of the anger from the community is actually coming from the fact that they feel duped, completely duped, and there's a money grabbing attempt. And I understand wargaming has to make money, but I don't think it has to come at the expense of the trust of the player base. And that's something, when you damage it, you can't actually, it's going to be a hard time to getting it back, to be honest. That being said, I think implementing a refund strategy would go a long, long, long way to actually helping with that. And again, that's like, the whales are going to buy this ship regardless. 100% they're going to buy this ship regardless. I mean, like, I think there's actually been a couple already seen throughout a few games, like 2 or 3. And I think I've actually heard of one person who bought 3 Puerto Ricos. Like, that's like $900. So the problem is, people who are going to buy the ship anyways are going to buy it anyways. It's the people caught in the middle buying the booster packs that I feel bad for. That being said, though, the directives are a bit of a shit take. Or a piss take, to be honest. Again, I will never shit in this game for giving away free stuff. A lot of other games don't give all that much free stuff. But when you start taking people's money, that's when the game really changes. And that's when you have to be actually really careful about how you market things, how you let the community know what's going on, and how this transfers in game and stuff like that. And they were not clear about this, and again, it's come off really deceptive, and it's going to take a lot for them to actually fix this. I think trust has been damaged here over the longer term. So I actually want to give a shout out to the people who did the math and actually checked all this. They deserve mega props for actually sorting all this stuff out. That being said, if you cannot grind to Puerto Rico, and I'll be in that group who cannot grind it, all that free XP you got grinding one of the directives, the 350,000 XP, the 350,000 XP, the 350,000 XP, you can use that to buy yourself an Alaska, and then you have an upgraded version of the tier 10 ship Puerto Rico. So with that, that's been my impressions. I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe you haven't, maybe you do, but what can you do? And I'll see you in the next one, which will be a gameplay, I can assure you. See ya.